And we're recording. So welcome to the second meeting of the OWASP AI Exchange, everybody. As said, last time we had some more time to spend on introducing the whole concept of the AI Exchange. You can watch the recording of that meeting through the meetings link right here. The idea of today is we have 1 hour. Unfortunately, Sandy seems to have issues getting into the call. Thankfully, we are recording, and I will try to do her part of the story. Going to back to the slide. So the idea is for me to first share some news with you guys, do some introductions. People haven't introduced themselves to the group previously, some new names also. Then I want to go through action item leaders. So Marco updating us about the website, also about the work that he is doing with the step-by-step guide, the work that Reza and team is doing on risk analysis, data science controls by Nicholas. I will do some updates. John will join at 1:30. He has another call right now, but he'll join. And then we'll wrap up with next steps. So to update you guys about what's happening, we're onboarding great new authors together with Sandy, who is joining or who is running the community, so to speak. For example, Evgenia, I practiced pronouncing her name. Chloe Aranish, who is right here in the call. And we have a number of great people in the pipeline, so we're growing and growing. We have the concept of guest authors joining. We have Christopher, who joins to gather training material. So you guys will be sort of interviewed, or you can expect some questions by Christopher. And the nice thing is that he wants to train on AI security, so he's motivated to gather this information. And the stuff that he will gather from us, we can put into the AI Exchange to help, our readers with some good starting material to get into the topic of AI security. So I really like that win-win situation. Krutin is in the risk analysis team, and Herman and Ante are with Marco in the step-by-step guide team. And depending on how these guys are liking and can contribute, we'll let them join the authors group. External stuff, I worked a bit on the press release, but that's all I did. The rest was done by our John, which means setting up a liaison with the NIST AI Safety Institute Consortium. I just posted that on LinkedIn, just like John. And we are representing OWASP together with the LLM Top 10 in this consortium. So we're joining with academia and Fortune 500 companies discussing AI safety, which includes, of course, trustworthiness and security. So this is really cool to be at the table of such an important consortium on such a great topic and to have the recognition for it. I made some noise about some of the updates. I called it version 0.8. You might have seen this update. It's probably now at 16 or 17K views, a lot of likes, a lot of reposts, so some good engagement, people liking the exchange and this update with one of the primary things, the new websites, for which we have to thank Marco. We're getting fan mail. I'm getting at least one message a day by a person who just selflessly writes down, thank you guys so much for this AI exchange. I use it every day. So I wanted to forward those kudos to you hereby. And we're working with other standard makers. Together with Sandy, I'm in a working group for the Cloud Security Alliance, where we want to contribute threats, controls, risks, etc., to their framework, and it's working out. We're getting the space to contribute, but it's quite difficult to work with people from different disciplines who have different views on how to see AI security, to find consensus. Really takes some good time, but we're getting there. I spoke with Checkmarx, and Checkmarx is interested in joining forces on the work that we do at the AI Exchange when it's about threats and controls. They are working on their own framework, and we're currently exploring to see whether we could collaborate. So that could be their team and our team simply joining in on the open source work on the AI Exchange, and I think that's great. Next step is that we'll look at their preliminary work and see how it resonates with the framework that we have. Still going strong with Sentinelic Workgroup 5 for the AI Act. ITU is interested in what we're doing. I'm talking about the exchange on a conference in Geneva on February 19th. And our threat model is going to be central in that talk. And there will be a panel discussion where we're going to talk about security standardization. Let me see if there are any new messages by Sandy. No, she just asked me to record it, so I think that's okay then for now. All right. What else? Yes, I spoke with Checkmarx. I spoke with Joab Evenstein, Israeli guy who's involved in a lot of standardization work, and they both brought up the importance of distinguishing between just a user and a solution builder. So we tend to write the exchange for people developing AI systems, but there's a much larger group, obviously, of organizations that are just using AI. And I don't think we should exclude them from the audience. So somehow we need to find a way to make it easy for them to find the elements in our whole story or a large volume of all the aspects that are relevant to them. And there are a few. So we are describing how you can do oversight, how you can watch for over-reliance, how you can minimize the input that goes into prompts. And these are concerns for end users as well. So that's a mental note for me and a mental note for us to take into account and think about how we can sort of include that group in our audience, because currently, when you look at the charter, we don't mention them. But if you read the exchange, there's a lot of stuff in there that's interesting for an organization that's just using a SaaS LLM to do whatever. I don't know, explain code or something. So those are my updates. Let's do some introductions of people who haven't introduced themselves in the previous session. Please introduce yourself briefly because of the time. There are many things on the agenda, but we do like to hear why you joined, what's your specialty, and maybe some nice details about you personally. Starting with you, Armanish, please.
Yes, Rob, thanks for actually giving me the podium to actually introduce myself. So my name is Arunish Salhotra. I'm based out of New York, and I'm not sure where everybody else is. And so a little background for me. I mean, I consider myself to be a technologist generalist. So I like to tinker with all technologies, what's happening, and try to gear towards that particular movement. Earlier it was cloud, now it's more Gen AI. So so there is a little bit of security researcher that sits in me. So, and I also work as a fractional CISO for a couple of my clients. So I think what's happening in the AI, the Gen AI world, code generation, the co-pilots, I think it's important for me to understand what's happening and do a little deeper dive, not just by myself, but I think like different forums like this one to do like cross-sharing, cross-learning itself. And I want to actually understand and also give back to the community at large itself. And one of my passion areas is also looking at how do you actually adopt technologies in nonprofits which literally don't have money, right? So if they're adopting something, how do you actually empower them? So there are different reasons for me to actually be part of this particular forum. Uh, and I said like few of those for sure.
All right, great to have you on board. You are in the Slack channel now. Please have a look at the Google document. That is the place where we sort of keep track of who's doing what. And there's also a place where you can look at where you want to contribute. So we can do this step by step. And people during we do bi-weekly sprints, and during the meetings and on Slack, people update each other on the progress and reflect on some of the preliminary results, and that's working out okay. So thanks again. I think last time Reza, please tell me how to pronounce that E. You did not introduce yourself yet, so please.
Yeah, so Reza, so just background on myself. I started my career in software development with a master's in computer science, and went into consulting. I did work on a couple of startups in between, and went to consulting with Deloitte for over 12 years. I was at Deloitte, left Deloitte as a partner, managing some of the cybersecurity practice, especially governance, risk compliance, as well as data security, and currently work with a company called RiskView. We specialize in risk management, and in terms of the background and interest in AI, so we have a software that we are offering to some of the financial services in Canada, including central bank, that helps them with threat risk management holistically in all areas. And my interest really in data science and AI started early on in my master's, but then I came back to it over the past year or so, and currently in the last stages of finishing a deep dive certification with University of Toronto in data science and machine learning and deep learning. And now I am honored to kind of lead the risk management component of AI Exchange, and here to learn from every one of you and contribute as much as I can.
That's great. Thank you, Reza. On to Steve.
Yep. Hey, folks. I am, so by way of introduction, Steve Francola. I'm the CEO of a company called Workforce AI. We focus on third-party AI risk. I'm here to contribute as I can. While I'm also building this business, which takes up the majority of my time. But I have a direct interest in tracking and contributing as I can on this group for Rob and team.
Thanks, Steve. Yeah, we talked about the opportunity for you to contribute to the supply chain part, and I look forward to you doing so. We all have our life and work next to the AI exchange. What we agreed upon is that if there is a certain period in which we're not available because we're on vacation or we're overwhelmed with other stuff, it's just let the rest know, and we can accommodate. And for the rest, it's a matter of contributing and sharing your preliminary work, preferably directly on GitHub. So don't know by heart, Steve, if we've hooked you up as a writer on the GitHub. If not, just send, and this goes for everybody in the call, just send me your GitHub handle and I will add you to the writers group. And then it's just a matter of clicking on a page on edit on GitHub and you're in business. You can make direct changes. This is because it's not software. So we don't have a sort of a lot of dependencies and we can review by looking at history. So it's fine to do direct updates. And I welcome you to do so.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Ken, please.
Yeah, hey. So I currently co-chair the AI control framework working group at the CSA. And we certainly need the work product from this group, AI Exchange, like as a result from this group to help us. Rob actually participated in CSA very actively along with Sandy. So if I can contribute to AI Exchange, I certainly would like to contribute as well, also learn from this group. If there is the Slack channel, Rob, if you can post it, I will sign up. And I also will give you the GitHub handle so I can contribute as well. So yeah. Anyway, yes, thanks for the
very
opportunity.
much appreciated. I have your expertise in high regard, Ken, and it's also nice to be both in the CSA initiative and right here. So I will hook you up, and let's over Slack discuss to see what the things are that are sort of we can prioritize for you to look at. I think currently mostly the stuff that we're also working on in the CSA, which is making sense of what is the asset, what's the life cycle, what's the threat, and how do you link them to controls? Because I noticed that in the CSA initiative, they're going through some steps that we've gone through in the past. But of course, I cannot overwhelm everybody with our conclusions. That the CSA group has to go through the same steps as well. And we're managing. Thanks also for your guidance in that process.
Yeah, I think that whatever the approach we take should based on other people's, like you guys already go through this process. We should leverage as much as we can. Certainly, yeah. So that will be helpful because AI Exchange, I think, start earlier than CSA. AI control group. So you guys already have some expertise built on top, so we can certainly work together.
Yeah, I'm just thankful of that recognition because that's where it starts. Right, Ken, I will contact you.
Thank you.
I noticed Dan's autopilot. Does that mean that that's an AI that Dan is running that is listening to the session, or is it the actual Dan in the call? I think that answers my question. So Dan's autopilot, give my regards to Dan. Dan will, I'll reach out to you or vice versa, and we'll discuss. Is there anybody who I'm sort of skipping right now who has not yet introduced his or herself in the group?
Yeah, me.
Marco. You did not indeed. I have this here in my notes.
No.
The person that probably did the most in the recent period. So please tell us about yourself.
Hi, I'm Marko Lichter. I live in Croatia, and today I completed my final exam at Faculty of Electrical Engineering and Computing in Zagreb. Yeah, so kudos to me. I'm starting to write my master thesis on the topic of multimodal LLM injection attacks. Besides that, I'm a solution engineer at Splix AI, a Gen AI security startup from Croatia, and we have some, let's say, innovative approaches and solutions for Gen AI. But I shouldn't overshare because we're still in the stealth mode, and this is a recorded meeting. Yeah, my cybersecurity career started in mobile application security. But of course, around 6 months ago, I switched to AI security and Gen AI security to be more specific. I'm here to learn from every one of you, and currently I'm contributing to step-by-step guide for the organizations. And if anyone has feedback on that, I would gladly accept it and to make it usable for the organizations. Yeah,
indeed. So the idea is to make for a reader, which representing an organization, to make it possible to step by step understand what needs to be done to make it actionable. Currently,
exactly.
that the exchange is doing this, is trying to do this, but it needs to be much better because the exchange is both a reference and it also wants to be a guide. So putting that in, and we're going to discuss that shortly, Marco. Thanks for that intro, and yeah, congratulations! Wow,
Thank you.
what a great achievement. Anybody else who didn't introduce themselves yet? I see a hand by Aranish, please.
Yeah, Rob, I was not sure, like we were also talking about our other affiliations and stuff. Like I'll probably want to actually say that I run like a independent like AI research group. We have like around 12 people in that research group, and we kind of look at various aspects. And personally, my passion area around AI research is around like the policy, like how do you actually embrace AI within your organization while understanding the risk and like the mitigating control that you would need. A few other areas that I kind of look at is around the regulations that are coming up in different regions. So that's an area that I can definitely help. Being a technologist, being a former developer, I also look at code generation, the risk involved in that one, and the other aspect is around the bias detection. So any of these areas which, if it makes sense, I can actually definitely contribute in that area as need be.
And you said affiliation. What do you mean involving the research group with that, or?
Yeah, I mean, like, so there is a couple of forums that I'm kind of associated with this. One is the independent group that I run. There is another organization which is doing AI, ethical AI, responsible AI called CFF, and that I included that as part of my brief bio. So that's another body that I'm associated with.
Okay, let's discuss about these topics. So the scope of the AI exchange is AI security, or to be more precise, the protection of AI systems against security threats. And this touches on some of the sort of responsible AI topics like fairness, explainability, transparency, accuracy, robustness. But for most of those topics, it's a light touch, which means that we sort of need to prevent us to elaborate on the more ethical aspects of it. There is a side project called the AI Security and Privacy Guide, where in the privacy part, we are discussing these things. But in the exchange, we want to focus on security. And we're actually working on sort of carving out that scope in a separate section. But more on that separately, I propose. I'd like to go through the changes that have been done in the last 2 weeks, starting with Marco's work. Marco's amazing work, I should say. You probably all have seen the new face of the AI exchange with, yeah, Marco, why don't you briefly take us along some of the major elements of this and some of the recent extension that you created?
Do you want me to focus on the technical side or the layout of the website more?
Just a brief summary of what you've done and what you feel that is important for us to realize or know.
Okay, so I would say that we changed from the single file Markdown document to the multiple Markdown documents, which are editable by clicking on the right side button on the menu. So you can edit the exact page that is presented to you on the website by clicking that URL or that button. Besides that, I think you can find everything there is to the AI exchange on the website, and that includes the previous meetings, media. Those are talks by Rob and other leaders of the OWASP exchange. And of course, you can see on the contribute button how to contribute, and you can find all the links to the socials on the Connect tab. And on the home, there's just a brief description of what AI Exchange is about and what's its purpose. And of course, we link to the other AI initiatives within OWASP.
One of the things we're currently looking at, Marco, is how we can have URLs that are permanent. So ideally, you would want to have owaspai.org/ I don't know, AI program, which would take you to the control. Currently, there are ways to change the URLs for the sections and for the subsections, but it's not ideal because you still need to first go to the proper page and then go to the control in that page, because the structure is, as you know, we have our content, which has the overview, the general controls, the threats to use, development time threats, and the fourth section. And every section is basically a page, where on the right-hand side, you can see the structure of that page. That's the way how you navigate. So you can quickly go through general controls, and then on the right, see what type of general controls there are. I think this is nice and elegant, and very helpful in sort of unlocking the whole complex structure, because there's a lot to AI security. And I find it amazing work, Marco. So thank you again for all this. Maybe, Marco, you can also update us about that step-by-step guide idea. You're doing this together with two people you know. You're doing this one people you know, a coworker, I think, or you're.
Yeah. So I'm doing this with Ante Goiselic, which is the co-founder of the startup that I mentioned before, and with Henrico, or if I remember correct. So we're doing the step-by-step guide for the organizations to essentially provide them with steps to include AI in their businesses. And there we identified three, let's say, types of organizations. So the first one is the organizations that just use the AI, use the AI tools, Gen AI tools, etc. Ones that create these solutions, and we split those into two subtypes, let's say. So the types that create the models themselves, and the ones that use third-party models like GPT 3.5.
Yeah, really like what you guys are doing, trying to make it actionable. It's important. You're doing this right now in a Google Doc. It's important to, after sort of that main structure is there, to see how you can apply that structure on the exchange itself. Because the goal is that the AI exchange can serve as a guide, and not to have a separate document that people need as a manual to use the AI exchange to know what to do, right? But I understand your approach by writing this step-by-step approach down in the Google Doc, and then trying to find a way on how to make the controls more actionable, and how to make perhaps the summary that's already there more step-by-step wise approach, or have a separate section or chapter in the overview document that sort of does this step-by-step. And yeah, let's find out.
Yeah, our current plan is to actually have a separate section on the website, but also create some other deliverables, which include like infographics and PDFs that are easier to distribute to organizations, let's say, and they can print them out, etc. But yeah, we'll still need to discuss that.
Yeah, I think it's a strategic choice whether you sort of keep the AI exchange as a reference document with a lot of detail and then have a separate document serve as a guide how to go through that step by step, or see if you can find a way to make the AI exchange more actionable, which maybe isn't possible, but yeah, that's an important next step.
First, write the content to be able to discuss that.
Yes, let's do that. All right. Reza, how's it going with the risk analysis?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I can just give you a quick update, and if you wish, I can also share with you. I think there's a Google Doc that we started with that, so my apology. I think we Bernaz and I think was it Arunish that contributed to it, I believe, or someone else. I may have missed the name. Yes, it is in its earliest stages, but it's coming together very nicely. The way we have structured it is starting with the overall process of risk management, which is adopting the ISO 31000 and putting a layer of AI on top of it. And so that framework is very familiar to many organizations, and I think it's well adopted. So we leverage that in terms of the process. Then we get into roles and responsibilities. That's an area that it's evolving, and I'm glad that you brought up the idea of end users and also different adopters of AI, being like the people who build it, the people who are integrating it, and the people who are using it. So that role and responsibility nicely gels with that idea or separations of roles. And we also get into some of the risk catalog, which I believe overlaps with perhaps some of your threat models. So I think that's an area that it's very earliest stages of it. And we're evolving it. And if anyone is interested, I can share the Google Doc. My apology, I'm still catching up on the GitHub and the process. And I do have a question, I guess, for Marco and yourself, Rob, in terms of the process of going into the GitHub and then updating it directly. Is it going to be live, or is it going to be reviewed before it gets into?
That's a good question.
Public, yeah.
Yeah, it's will be live on GitHub immediately, and then the CI/CD that we have that Marco built will take, I think, 2 minutes or so to put it online and make it part of the website. So in fact, it's virtually directly.
Okay.
Yeah, but also you can create a pull request, which will trigger a pipeline to publish, let's say, a staging version of the website, so you can view all the changes that will be made.
Okay.
Not on the live version of the website, and then if everything is all right, you can merge it.
Okay.
Yeah, you will see that when you work with the pull request,
right.
Because it will offer a new button that says, watch this in sort of staging, and you can watch the entire website as if it had your changes. So if you're gonna do something complex and you want to take it step by step and watch what it looks like, you can work with pull requests.
Okay, very good. Yeah, very good.
Yeah, because what you're doing is a big endeavor, so it might involve indeed doing the pull requests. But for now,
yes,
we can work in the Google Doc, I guess.
Okay.
I'll also, you asked me to review it. I will do that a bit more, and we'll align.
Perfect.
Great work. Some updates from my side. What did I do? I added a section on responsible, trustworthy AI, which is, let me bring that up, is this section talking about accuracy, safety, transparency, explainability, robustness. And the discussion about this is ongoing, because I don't think there's consensus yet of where safety falls. So we need to continue discussing this. I'll make sure that it happens. And at one point, we can make a diagram of sort of the circle of concern of security people. So to draw the line, I added this diagram, which is 5338, which is the AI lifecycle with all kinds of examples of activities that are AI specific that are taking place there. Sorry, I have a bit of a cold. And okay, why is this in the way of my text?
Rob, would you be able to focus it a bit or zoom in a bit?
Sure. But you can find it in the Exchange under on the dev program. I made new threat models that basically should summarize the whole threat risk control structure. I mean, there's too much to go into right now. I'd like your input if you want to review this, because this is one of the most important diagrams that we have. I think that's about it regarding my work. I work with several of you for doing the changes, some small updates, and currently I'm looking with Marco on how to do that permanent link stuff, because then we can update the navigator. Because the navigator, as you may know, is this PDF that has hyperlinks. And if you click the hyperlink, it will now take you to the old AI Exchange Markdown document. It's not a disaster, but we want to change that to linking to the new one. And for that, we'll need to think of how we do these permanent links. Over to Nicholas to update us about progress on typical data sciencey stuff, like adding noise to input and detecting odd input and all that magic stuff. Tell us what you did.
Thank you, Rob. So we worked on the section of detecting odd input and did a major update on that. So we included a description for every task of detecting odd input. So these are like out of distribution detection, outlier detection, anomaly detection, and open set recognition, and novelty detection, of course. All these tasks are quite closely related, and they even can be viewed as a subtask of out of distribution detection. So that's why we focused on out of distribution detection. But nevertheless, we explained each task and how they relate to OOD, and also how you can differentiate between them. We demonstrated these different tasks on an example of an AI system for self-driving cars.
Oh yeah, I like that. Yeah, great.
Thank you very much. And now that's it on the part of detecting odd input. And now we are focusing on updating the section of input distortion. Yeah, maybe next time we can do an update on that.
And you're doing this partly with Roger together, right?
Yeah, the input distortion. Yes, sure.
I think yes, I can recommend this wholeheartedly to everybody who's working on a subject that's complex or requires some extra research. If you find somebody else within the artist group that also has affinity with the subject, you can sort of team up and work on this together. Thanks, Nicholas. I think Alan, you just before the session, you made a contribution, right?
Yeah, I made my humble contribution today. So I was writing about the difference between the normal standard data development lifecycle and what I call the data or AI development lifecycle. And I think the biggest difference from a security perspective is that in the AI development lifecycle, we have this experimenting phase when we write code in notebooks and import dependencies and whatnot. And I just wanted to point out about the security risk that might because when we import training data into the notebooks and then import dependencies into the same place, and that might cause a lot of damage.
So I tried to find your contribution. Let me show you how I normally do that.
It's under the, yeah.
Where is it?
It's under the supply chain management.
Ah, okay.
Section
So that's
3, yeah.
development time threats,
Mhm.
supply chain manage.
Yeah, so it's the last paragraph, yeah.
You added this.
Yeah, except
Great.
for the first sentence, yeah.
So I mean, it goes too far to together read this right now. The way that this normally works is that I keep an eye on changes like this. I go to contents and I do history. And then I see updates like this. So I see, Ellen, I see your update. I click on it. So this is what everybody also can do, right? Look at the GitHub repository. For some of you who are GitHub heroes, this is completely familiar. For others, maybe not. But the idea is that through edit on GitHub, you get here, then you go to a certain directory, like I just did. Let me do that again. Yeah, you can navigate here in the top to the breadcrumb and go to content, AI Exchange, content. That's where all the markdown files who are the source of the exchange live. Press history, and then you can see all the changes in the tree that happened. I did something yesterday with the 5338 diagram. Milad Masudi, who's a colleague of mine, did several updates. And if we want to see what changed here, we get sort of a summary of what was removed and what was added. I just wanted to demonstrate this to you guys. All right, Ellen, thanks a lot. I will review this and go back to the slides. There we are. Let me see, because we have now 9 more minutes. Anybody else want to share contributions that you're preparing or that you have done? I think Ben, as you're part of the risk analysis group, right?
Yes, Ron. Yes.
And Susanna, you have some plans, correct?
Yes, I added some of the information to the doc and I improved the texts and some of the examples to the table. And so we are working with Reza together and I update the document and Reza review it. And during, I think last week we had a meeting together and we wanted to try actually schedule the another meetings with other part of the groups and speak about the some of the points, and Reza marked some of the points on a document with the to-do. So I try to find them and working on them. So, but it goes well, actually.
Yeah, I like how you guys are collaborating. So Susanna, what are your plans?
So currently right now I'm working on some federation things. I have an introduction that's just about finished. And also a diagram. A couple of my questions have been answered about whether I could just start with an outline introduction and also whether a diagram would be a welcome contribution. So unless you tell me otherwise, I'm probably going to be checking those in today.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I love diagrams, and I think that we're going to have more. And I also think that probably next time we need to sort of decide on some consensus in style, color use, or maybe some standard slides with backgrounds and elements that we can use. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect like a book, and anybody can use their own style, I think. But some alignment on how we want to visualize data, how we want to visualize data streams can be helpful for the reader to be consistent.
Is there a standard that exists on that already? Because I love drawing and I'd be more than happy to either adopt one or help set one as is helpful.
I just made a note, Susanna loves drawing, because be careful what you wish for. Yeah, I'm gonna send you the PowerPoint of that thread diagram because I like what's in there, but I don't like how it looks. So perhaps you can help me out a little bit.
Sure, I would be
If you
more than
want to.
happy. Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to receive that as well, Rob, so that we can adopt the same. We have a lot of diagrams and visuals in the risk management part, and I think it would be good to adopt a color scheme.
Oh, yeah, but okay, so the reason for me sending it to Susanna is that mine is not an example, and I
Okay.
probably need Susanna's help. So I'm
Right.
not going to send it to you, but after
Sure.
Susanna's done with it, you probably will get it, and we can find a
Sure.
a good way to align on these things. Shouldn't be
For
too
sure.
strict, I think.
Yeah, doesn't
Cool.
OWASP have a style or color scheme that we want to adopt, or?
I'm not familiar with it, but let me ask around with other projects.
We can match something or come up with something that's easy for others to match, as the case may be.
Yes. Let's work on that. I think Reza, the person contributing to your work was Krutin, wasn't it? Definitely.
I believe Krutin and Ben Oz, that contributed. Yeah,
Okay.
thanks. Ben Oz contributed a lot, and yeah, I'm looking forward to working with both and anyone else who's interested in the risk management topic.
All right. Let me ask Amir. Amir, are there any plans from your side with regards to?
Yeah, actually, I was going to reach out to you because I was not invited to the to the Slack channel, and I would like to just contribute to the risk. I have some background in risk. Maybe I can support in that part.
Okay, I will
Wonderful.
add you to that risk channel, of course. Great that you can contribute. Let me bring up the Google document that we use to see if there's any to-dos and action points to align on. So we have two big items running, which are super important, which is risk analysis and the step-by-step guide. Hyperlinks. Yeah, Ben, you're free to work on this, but also if you prioritize working on the risk analysis, that's perfectly fine. So I'm going to add Amir to this list. Step-by-step guide. Oh yes, this one, Susanna. We had a brief conversation on Slack on looking at the NIST work. It's quite recent work that they did, and it's just important for us to have a look at how they categorize things and name things and how we do it. And the differences are important for us to do something with. So it's basically a gap analysis where we either adopt our terminology to the NIST terminology because we're not married with anything, or share our gap analysis with NIST and the rationale of why we think that, for example, privacy should be renamed to confidentiality or things like that.
Got it. That makes sense. Thank you.
And well, you did some work yourself on MLOps and threats, etc. You don't have to do a gap analysis by looking at two documents. You got it all in your head. So I'm just very happy that you're starting with transfer learning because that's where you're really hands-on. And I look forward to you really, sinking your teeth in the content of the exchange. So I'm not going to be sending you a lot of drawing stuff because we also need your expertise on the matter. Chloe wants to pick up this one. Oh, the MITRE Atlas one. That's great. Yes, Roger and Nicholas are working on the data science stuff, including, yeah, Nicholas, you put on your list other, related matters like training adversarial, detecting adversarial input distortion. So we got
everything related to adversarial machine learning, adversarial examples. Yeah.
Yeah. There are some people joining who also have deep expertise in these areas. So I will connect you all with them once they join the Slack channel, and forming some groups. Of course, we shouldn't create groups with 15 people working on one control, but like with risk analysis, I think a group effort can really help. And the same goes for, well, the typical tough subject of adversarial machine learning. So there's a couple of people. There's a professor from Lancaster Uni is joining with expertise in this area. So we're in a good place. Amir, I see your hand up. That's an old hand, I think, correct?
Sorry, that was left. I didn't have anything.
Okay, good.
That was just left up. Yeah.
I now have somebody waiting in the lobby. Ruben Simbres. Okay, I will let him in, but not before I wrap up. Thanks a lot for your contribution, guys. Let's keep this up. If you have any questions, reach out to either me or Sandy. Let me briefly have a look. I know that we're over time, but I want to have a look at Sandy's slide just to see if there's anything that I should mention. Yes, those are important things. I mean, CSA, we touched upon partly, but let's put them on the agenda for next time. I'm gonna plan that meeting. There's probably going to be more people, which is cool. And in the meantime, I'm going to work hard on the exchange, and I'll make sure that that meeting will be planned in with Google Meet. I promise. All right. Everybody, have a great evening, night, day, wherever you are in the world. And I see you on Slack.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye, all.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.